Many African Americans are now saying that we should call ourselves Negus because of an Ethiopian word meaning king. However, given that there are literally over 2,000 languages in Africa, and each one of them have at least three words that means king, don't you therefore find it suspicious that the only word that's being spread throughout our black communities is the word Negus, the Ethiopian word Negus, that just happens to sound exactly like the original N word? To believe that this is merely an incredible coincidence is extremely naive. The naive and gullible are always the easiest victims of the white oppressors' fraudulent propaganda campaigns. Clearly, the word Negus is being deliberately spread into our black communities to serve a particular agenda. Here's the truth about the word Negus. Millions of African Americans were socially engineered to call themselves niggas by white oppressive forces. This was done because repeatedly calling ourselves by negative words negatively affect our subconscious minds. Calling ourselves niggas subconsciously conditions us to perceive ourselves through a false inherent inferior identity that aids the white society in maintaining its social dominance over us. Calling each other niggas causes us to dehumanize each other. This makes it easier to mistreat and even kill each other. The Ethiopian word of Negus is being used to keep us functioning under the original effects of the original N word, because the subconscious mind doesn't see the different spellings. Critically think, if you discovered that the word shit was an ancient word meaning king, you wouldn't name your son shit, would you? Of course you wouldn't, because you know of the damage repeatedly calling your son shit would do to his subconscious mind. However, this logic is being ignored among millions of African Americans who are now calling themselves niggas. It's because we've been so brainwashed to call ourselves niggas that we'll accept any ridiculous explanation for doing so. You know, it's a daunting task trying to show people whose minds have been brainwashed that their minds are in fact brainwashed. But nonetheless, those who know must teach. African proverb. Worser than just enslaving us is the fact that they've also manipulated millions of us to self-identify ourselves as niggers. By conditioning us to self-identify ourselves as niggers, this allows them to keep the mental chains upon our minds long after the mental chains have been removed from our bodies. When we self-identify as niggers, this makes us psychologically perceive ourselves through a false inherent inferior identity that aids the white society in maintaining their social dominance over us. Words have power over the subconscious mind. It's why black people who refuse to call themselves niggers usually command some more respect and carries themselves with a higher level of self-respect than those who insist on calling themselves niggers. The N-word by any spelling still psychologically assigns us to an inferior status because the subconscious mind doesn't see the different spelling. Black ignorances of the war that's being waged against our minds by white oppressive forces give them their greatest power over us. The truth behind our current collective state is that white oppressive forces, with the ability to create false narratives that makes us think, behave, and function in ways that are against our own interests, are doing so. This is not some silly conspiracy theory, nor is it a feeble attempt at scapegoating that attempts to absolve us of our own responsibilities by wrongly blaming white people, as many have been brainwashed to respond. This is the absolute truth. Presently, white government agents that specializes in psychiatry and propaganda analyzes and studies everything about the black population, our beliefs, our likes, our dislikes, our strengths, and our vulnerabilities. This surveillance information is gathered, and decisions are then made on which fraudulent stories to produce to best create certain psychological feelings amongst the black population that assist the white society in maintaining its control and dominance over the black population. These men deployed an ideological subversion system against us to create a structural cultural stupidity within our culture. Ideological subversion is an offensive psychological warfare tactic that uses misinformation and deception as a weapon to change people's behaviors and beliefs in ways that are against their own self-interest. Structural cultural stupidity is when the ignorant ones have been deliberately made so overconfident within their state of ignorance that it causes the intelligent ones to become intimidated, and they then remain silent, thus allowing the idiotic beliefs held by the ignorant ones to prevail throughout our communities, creating cultural stupidity, thus creating a dumbed-down population. It's one of the many nefarious social sciences schemes that's being deployed against us. It's the truth they keep our minds dumbed down from learning. Here's how to create culture of stupidity within a targeted population. You first strip the targeted population of their true history, culture, and knowledge of themselves. Then you constantly and systematically feed idiotic ideologies into their communities. You then provide a national media platform to those amongst them that have accepted idiotic ideologies. These are the ones that are ignorant, naive, and gullible. This elevates the idiotic ideologies, while you deny a national media platform from the intelligent ones that rejected the idiotic ideologies. This allows those idiotic ideologies to prevail throughout the culture, becoming normalized, thus emboldening the ignorant ones while causing the intelligent ones to feel overwhelmed and intimidated and remain silent. This silence allows the ignorant ideologies to become normalized, creating cultural stupidity. This is precisely what white oppressive forces have done to the African American culture. Is why we're calling ourselves niggers, bitches, hoes, and thugs, glorifying pimps. This ideological subversion system has greatly damaged our culture. Through their monopoly over information that we receive, they've also changed the African American culture from calling us our brothers and sisters, which had a profoundly unifying effect upon our culture, to now calling ourselves niggas and bitches, which has made us more divided. They've also changed us from accurately perceiving white oppressive forces as being our worst enemies to now inaccurately perceiving ourselves as being our worst enemies. It's how white propaganda shifted the collective aggressions of many black people away from the white society and redirected it towards ourselves. It's the true reason why many black people are now self-loathing, perceives ourselves as being our own worst enemies, and reveres and defends Caucasians in spite of such a brutally horrific history of the contrary. They manipulated millions of us to think and behave in ways that are against our own self-interest and that instead serves the interests of the white society. Our core problem is that the naive, gullible, and ignorant ones among us that have accepted the programming from the ideological subversion system are overconfident within their brainwashed state, and they fight against those of us who are intelligent and woke, who tries to free them from their brainwashed programming. This has caused many of the intelligent ones to become mentally fatigued, and we feel outnumbered. So we stop fighting them, thus allowing the brainwashed ones and the ideologies to prevail throughout the black community. While we read our Bibles believing that it would protect us, white oppressive forces studied instead the social sciences of manipulating the minds of large targeted population. They then used their gained knowledge to mentally enslave millions of black people. Those black people who don't critically think never notices their mental change. Because they socially engineered us to prefer being holy than to be critical thinkers, we are therefore easy victims of those who have studied how to hijack and control the group minds of targeted populations. Welcome to reality. This is the reality, and this is the Black People's Matrix. It is time to wake up to our reality.